Well, thanks to everyone for joining. I know for some of you it's kind of middle of the day, some of you it's a lot earlier. I appreciate those that filled out the survey and made the time to be with us. Session's also going to be recorded, so we'll put that up on YouTube with a private link, so only those that have the link can see it, and you can refer back to it often. Cool. So I'm going to turn off the screen share just so we can all see each other and meet first, and then I'll come back to the list. Gallery. Wow. Hi. This is fantastic. So actually, I'm going to go down the list that I have here, and then we can find out who's from which place. So welcome, everybody. Some of you are new mini boat captains. Some of you are experienced mini boat captains. Some of you right in the middle. So really excited about this mix that we have. If anybody has any strong questions or anything that pops up, go ahead and put those in the chat or just kind of raise your hand, and we'll try to keep this as interactive as we can. So we have how many new groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 groups building mini boats. Some of you are building more than one. So how about Oregon State University? Kama, I saw you join. Would you like to say hello? And Tracy, I also saw that you're on, and introduce any of your other crew members if they're with us.
Hi, Cassie. So my name is Kama Elmassi. I'm with the Oregon Coast STEM Hub, which is under the Oregon Sea Grant umbrella, which is at Oregon State University. And I've been captain for one mini boat. And I'm really excited that we're continuing the program. Right now we have 3, and hopefully we'll have more that we build this year. And Tracy's up next.
Well, Kama pretty much summed it up there. So I'm Tracy Cruz, and I'm with Oregon Sea Grant. And we did mini boats many years ago when we first started the STEM Hub, before there were cameras and sensors and all of that. And so we're excited to re-engage now that they have, Cassie has made so many great updates, and to get more students involved again.
Awesome. And it's just you two from the OSU crew?
Yes, I invited Teresa Springer, our new program coordinator, but she has a doctor's appointment.
All right, very good. How about Peaks Island? I think that's half of you, maybe. Kelly, do you want to take the lead on that? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Cassie. Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Hassan, the teacher leader administrator at Peaks Island Elementary School. We are a pre-K to grade 5 school in Casco Bay, which is actually part of the city of Portland, Maine. And we actually take a boat every day to school, but some of us live, some staff live on Peaks Island too. So, and actually Ben Robinson that you can see there, he actually kayaks sometimes over to the island to school. So, so I'm just going to quickly just go through. So I'm going to go through and just introduce a few folks as I see you on my screen. So Bridget Joyce, you're up first. She's our librarian STEAM educator and lives on Peaks, and her 2 children attend Peaks Island School. Betsy Thompson, and she teaches 1st grade and is a amazing sailor. Actually, gave me an overview of my grant, did tell me something I wrote about a sailboat actually wasn't possible. So she actually helped me clarify a little bit of seamanship language, let's say. She helped me with that. Next up is Kim Gregg, who also lives on Peaks Island, and she is our reading interventionist. And then we have Tammy Drew, who is our kindergarten teacher and lives on the mainland, where Betsy and I also live. Pat Crowley Rockwell is she's the one that it says Pat. And oh, there you are. And she is our administrative assistant and also lives on Peaks Island. And Ben Robinson, our fearless kayaker. And when he's not kayaking, he's biking to the ferry and then taking us. Always making us feel that we could be doing more physically. And so Ben teaches multi-age 2nd grade and 3rd grade. And Phil Del Vecchio, who is our special educator, and he's being shy, but he is there. And Peggy Clements, who is really, she thought she was retiring. We brought her out of retirement. She is, I would call her really more of a teacher assistant slash teacher. We have what's called a dedicated sub, and she works full time with us and fills in. But something special about Peggy is Peggy has done the mini boat project when she was a teacher at Scarborough Schools in Maine. So I designated her immediately as the captain because she's done this before. So I think I've hit everybody. I think that, and we have a few other staff who couldn't join us today, but everyone's really excited to be here.
Welcome. I love that everybody's bringing so many people to this kickoff meeting. Really hoping for a lot of integration, interaction between everybody helping each other build mini boats. Kelsey, do you want to go next?
I'm Kelsey Oglesby. I'm the Career Development Coordinator at Mania Middle School in, we're on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. This is our first year doing the mini boats, but we've had 2 wash up here. In the last week, we were able to recover one. I actually have it in my room right now. So the students were able to see what they're getting into. I will have 2 other teachers joining me. We will have Stevie Bradley. She is our STEM teacher, and her dad actually builds small boats, so little center console boats. So we do have that kind of, he'll come in and do some guest speaking, and then we'll have Brian Wayner, who is our technology teacher, and he'll be kind of doing the sensor pack portion.
Awesome. Welcome, Kelsey. You're like now a mini boat expert just within the last like 3 weeks.
I've enjoyed it. I've been like rolling this mini boat all around the halls. I had it set up in the foyer so kids could see it when they came in. It's been great.
That's great. Welcome. Nate and Becky, do you guys want to introduce your Nauticus team?
Sure. I'm Nate Sandel. I'm from Nauticus in Norfolk, Virginia. And we have Becky with us, and she's the Associate Director of Education. And we have 2 of our educators, Isabel and Kwaku. And
Nate, have you ever built a mini boat before?
Well, I think I've built like 30 mini boats. But for the rest of the team, this will be their first foray into the mini boat world. So I'm excited for them to get their toes wet.
Such a great mix. Awesome. The teacher who I think has built the most amount of mini boats in her school, that's Lisa next. Would you like to say hello?
Oh, hey, everybody. Lisa Swanson from Morristown Baird School in northern New Jersey, Morristown, New Jersey. We just received our 12th mini boat sitting in my classroom. The kids just unpacked it last week. So we've been involved in the program for a long time. I'm particularly excited about this year. This will be the first year that we will actually include a sensor pack to our mini boat. So that's going to be upping the game for us and making a connection. We're a middle school. I teach 6th grade, and we'll be connecting with our high school oceanography class at the 10th and 11th grade level.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa.
Lisa, are you the one that has Crimson Current?
Yes.
Okay, so we've been watching it. The kids love to see how far it's gone.
Yes, exactly. It's an amazing journey, and I'm sure we probably could talk about that for an hour.
Crimson Current just landed in Norway a couple weeks ago. We might have a recovery happening this weekend with a research vessel going nearby. It's in a really remote area, but yeah. So many boats, so many great stories. And speaking of so many boats, so many great stories, Olive, would you like to go next?
Hi, I'm Olive Del Sol, boat educator at Columbia River Maritime Museum. And yeah, we're doing two boats right now and have relaunched our mini boat program after a short break. So yeah, been building mini boats here since 2017.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us.
Mhm.
There's one other, I don't see Joe or Eva. They're from Norwalk, Connecticut. They're with the Brian McMahon Marine Science Academy. It's a high school. They've done a couple mini boats, but Joe had an appointment to go to, so he's not going to be with us. And then I think we've got one more. Linda, our newest addition, who just signed up a week and a half ago.
Yes. Good morning. I'm in Alaska. My name's Linda Faber. I'm with Boys and Girls Club of South Central Alaska. I am located in the southeast. So I'm in Ketchikan. And yes, this is my first time. We learned about it at an after-school network conference last November. So I have been like really wanting to do this. So I'm so excited. I got to meet Cassie and Homer, and I got my boat sitting here ready to start.
Awesome. So Linda, a lot of what we did in Alaska is repeat. I love that model. We had a workshop where we had a few educators from around Alaska come. We kind of opened up the kit, explored what was in it. We talked about the resources that are going to be available to you, and then had a discussion about some of the integration. So going to try to replicate that model today in the next hour, but leave ample time for discussions. But first of all, did I miss anyone? Just want to make sure. Great. Any questions so far? So, that is all of you. I made this spreadsheet and it is going to be available in a shared drive. I'm also going to talk through how to access that shared drive and what other materials are available to you. The column, some of this information is filled out like the grade level, and all from that intro survey, the link that I sent out. So if you haven't filled that out yet, it would be great to get some feedback from you all. It's kind of nice to see some of the alignments with different grade levels because that might help some of you want to partner with each other a little bit easier, matching up grade levels. So that is that. We kind of did this with introductions, but I didn't know if anybody wanted to kind of share what inspired you or what brought you to building a mini boat this school year. Anybody want to share? I lost my panel of faces, but
I'll share, Cassie.
Okay.
So I worked with mini boats for several years back in Oregon, and I firsthand saw the way it really changed students' perspective and even some of their lives. Getting to explore the maritime world from a different perspective and really getting to explore some of these kids who have never left their own community. So with that, when I came here to Virginia, and even though it's mini boat territory out here, I really thought the students in Norfolk could really benefit from this once in a lifetime opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And Kama types in the chat, it's been incredibly engaging for the students and there are great opportunities to integrate data and science. Yes, so many great opportunities. We'll go into that more too. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, Cassie, I'll go. Lisa from Morristown. So even though we've done many of the boats, I mean, each time we do a boat there, I just see so many different curricular options, of ways in which to connect the mini boat. I teach geography, and right now I'm connected to the math department. I'm connected to our English curriculum, science, of course. My students come from northern New Jersey, and really their only seems like their connection is to the ocean is really just through recreationally through the Jersey Shore. And I've really found over the years working on the mini boat, trying to connect them in other ways to the ocean, ocean sustainability, the economics of ocean, has really, I think, changed the way that they look at at the ocean as a resident of a state that borders the Atlantic. So just so many different ways of, I guess the bottom line is using the mini boat as a vehicle for other kinds of discussions within the school curriculum.
Awesome.
I'll share. So we are on the Outer Banks. We are a huge fishing community, whether it be commercial fishing, recreational fishing, sport fishing. We have a huge boat building community and business. So a lot of our students are familiar with that aspect of it. But my job here at the school is to expose students to different careers. And so through this, we can hit the students who enjoy the hands-on aspect, but also want to dig deeper and just open them up to what there is available for them. And then also it pairs very nicely with our 8th grade science curriculum and our math curriculums. So it's kind of like a whole great big wonderful package that can hit all our students. And also get our community involved because it is such a big deal in our community.
And I'll share. We got a grant from our it's called the Peaks Island Fund, but it's really our big community fund. We're a very supportive and generous community at Peaks Island. And I think many have shared, because the elements of this project integrate across the curriculum, it's pretty extraordinary. And obviously we live on an island. We are surrounded by boats, but this is a real opportunity to really give ownership to students. And we're partnering also, part of our grant is to partner with, we have on the island something called the Island, the Illustration Institute. And so it's a children's illustrator and his wife who bring children's illustrators from all over to do residencies there. And so they're going to be partnering with us. They found us a amazing Maine illustrator named Lucky Platt, who's going to work with the students. Students are essentially going to be making themselves as the crew to go in the watertight compartment. And so kind of along the lines of the story Flat Stanley, but they're going to be flat. So that everybody will fit inside the watertight compartment. So it just, and we're complete newbies to this, but there's a lot of excitement, and as some folks have shared, our community is pretty rich with folks who live and work on the water, and we have everything from boat builders to people that work for NOAA to just kind of endless. But it's just, we see this great opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelly. These are great shares. I appreciate that. You all are what inspired me. This is awesome. All right, let's get into it. So this is the quick outline for this afternoon. So we did our hello and welcomes. I'm going to go over some of the program components. We're going to go and take a deeper dive into what's included. Got some of the kit parts here to show you. Go over the online resources that you'll have and leave time for discussion and planning. So I'm going to try to run through this pretty quick. I don't want to take up the whole time with talking about the program. I could talk about stories and connections for days on end. But here we go. So this is us, Educational Passages. Our mission is to connect people around the world to the ocean and each other, inspiring ocean stewardship through unique global experiences. And at the beginning of these programs, you really have no idea what is going to happen. You don't know what your impact will have, both short and long term. You don't know if your boat might stop reporting, or if it does, will it show up again? You don't quite know how many launches it might take to get a boat across an ocean basin, especially in the Gulf Stream, and back again. And you really don't know where your boat will go and how long it will take. And for those that might not have seen this is one of the ocean projections called the Spill-Hollis projection. And I just love it because it really shows that kind of one ocean. So here we are up in New England, and you can see Antarctica at the base. And this is just a really nice visual to make that connection that we are all connected by the water that we share. So I didn't want to go through too many different stories. So I'm going to focus on a partnership with the University of Rhode Island's Graduate School of Oceanography, show a couple videos, and show you how some of the teachers and participants have customized the program. I know you are all sold on participating, but this is also to help give you some inspiration about how you can use some of the resources provided and work with some of your nearby partners to really make the program as best as it can be. So a few years ago, we started partnering with GSO, and since then we have built 3 mini boats with them. The first was called Square Mile, and the second was Inspiration. Both of those boats were built by students throughout Central Falls, Rhode Island, including elementary, middle, and high school students. They also had graduate students that were studying things about the ocean come into the classroom with the participants to build the boat with them and make bigger connections to ocean science. We had a third boat called the TMSC Challenger. That is our most recent boat built by 7th graders at Thompson Middle School. Each of these have some incredible stories. But here is a video. Hopefully it works. I didn't check sound, but it's just music. So it's all right if the music doesn't come through. This is how Square Mile was put together. All right, who wants to guess where Square Mile ended up going to? Anybody? See faces. Anybody want to take a guess where Square Mile went to? You saw most of the track there. What kind of trajectory was it on?
Ireland.
Ireland? Any other guesses? It actually ended up, oh, go ahead.
Azores.
The Azores, yep. So Square Mile ended up in the Azores, and it was actually close to Fayal. And so I reached out to some friends that lived there, and they ended up going and getting it on World Ocean Day, actually, and recovering. And it turns out the hull had been covered in barnacles, so it was kind of weighed down, and the sail had come off. So it wasn't able to follow the wind as the mini boats normally do. So I want to introduce you to Inspiration. So Inspiration was built in February 2022. Same idea with Central Falls and the graduate students doing similar activities. And just to note that even without a partnership like that with URI, all of those activities can be things that you do with your students, and we're happy to help get you resources to make that happen as well. So this is Inspiration. Which actually the students had on display at the Ocean Race Stopover, which was hosted in Newport, Rhode Island. These students got to come and present their mini boat, which was really cool. So all the big sailors came by to look at it, and we had great conversations. Introducing you to the third mini boat, but just wanted to see all the different components and things that they did with it. Predictions. Actually looks like one person actually guessed right. So we ended up launching that one, and it ended up going to Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. But what is really cool is that these things inspire other things, and sometimes you don't know if that's short term or long term. So two really cool things that came out of the Ocean Race Stopover. One is the students that were there presenting were the tech team. They installed the sensors. It was an all-girl tech team. They had worked closely with a graduate student who was actually studying the air-sea interface. So the data that the mini boat was collecting from the air and from the water down at the bottom of the keel was really important to her. And so the students got to see that. So then they carry forward that ambassadorship of their mini boat by being at the Newport stopover. But then they also, the following school year, ended up raising money and presenting about their project at Ocean Sciences this February, which is actually where Tracy and I re-engaged with sensors. And so you never know what one conversation, one event, one thing will be inspired to do the next. So the other outcome is there were, this mini boat was on display in what was called the Ocean Exploration Zone. And there was this one school, Dudley, Massachusetts, that drove all the way down, got some buses to come and attend that exploration zone. And they got so interested in the mini boat that they ended up applying for a grant with MIT Sea Grant to do the whole thing themselves. And this last school year, that is exactly what we've been doing. So one field trip where they learned about this mini boat turned into the grant, turned into another blank slate, and this is what they turned it into, the DMS Anita. They even crocheted a mini Wisdom, which is the albatross, which is the Wisdom is like the mascot of the whole ocean race, and that got put inside the cargo hold. All of the text on the right are weekly updates that they produced about their work, an update from every team every week. They had great community involvement, and it was really nice to see how it gets paid forward. And then some things come back around and keep going. And so this is a clip of the latest of what happened to Inspiration, and you'll see where it launched and what happened and what will happen next.
And a little boat on a big adventure that's bringing children together from both sides of the Atlantic.
That's the excitement of the project, I think. It could be a child in Brazil, it could be a child in Antigua that contacts us and says, hey, I found your boat.
Looking good. Now, it began as a science project for a school in the United States. A miniature boat called Inspiration launched into the Atlantic. 9,000 miles later, it washed up, battered and bruised, on a Dorset beach. It's been renovated by Sea Scouts in Christchurch, and Inspiration is now ready to set sail on her next adventure. Steve Humphrey has the story.
It's the little boat that's been on an epic journey, captivating the interest of youngsters on both sides of the Atlantic. Now, it's going to take to the high seas once again, and no one knows where it'll end up.
That's the excitement of the project, I think, in that it could be a child in Brazil, It could be a child in Antigua that contacts us and says, hey, I found your boat.
The miniature boat was washed up on Muddyford Beach in Dorset in November 2022, bearing all the scars of its voyage across the Atlantic.
Came up here and saw a boat lying up against these rocks that had obviously been washed up through the sort of storm the night before.
Battered and bruised is a very good couple of words for it. It had some holes in it, had lots of scratches on it.
School pupils in the United States were involved in making and then launching the boat. It was conceived as an educational project and fitted with GPS so it could be tracked, along with temperature sensors. The voyage was truly epic. The boat travelled more than 9,000 miles in 245 days. After being found on the beach, the boat was taken to Tiptoe Primary School, and pupils there were soon linking up with the youngsters in the United States who had been involved at the start of the project.
I was a little surprised because I didn't know that it would end up in the UK.
It was really unexpected because it's come from such a long way away in America.
The boat has now been restored by Muddyford Sea Scouts.
Ready to go to sea, ship shape and Bristol fashion, absolutely.
On board, there'll be messages and photos from the school pupils and the scouts who've been involved in the project. There are also instructions for whoever finds the boat next.
It does encourage connections between children on both sides of the oceans.
The miniature boat is going to be launched by this local team, who are about to row the Atlantic. They'll be taking it to the Canary Islands, and it'll be put in the water sometime in December. Quite a responsibility.
Yes, so we have to rebuild it. We're going to have to learn how to rebuild it, put all the sensors in, and then we'll set it sail off of La Gomera, hopefully when the wind's behind it.
I think it involves children learning about oceans, the environment, everything that's going on globally, climate change, all that sort of thing. So I think it's an interesting little project and really fun.
Once it's back at sea, the little boats will be tracked, but it really will be a voyage into the unknown. Steve Humphrey, BBC South Today, Lymington.
What a wonderful story.
All right, so let's get into how does it work? Just a few key points. The GPS transmitter is essential, and so that will require a lot of back and forth with us to test and make sure things are working, batteries are high, everything is good to go, because otherwise we don't know how boats are going to get to other places. So it's kind of like a message in a bottle 2.0. We have these new sensor packs we've mentioned a couple times, and they're all helping us to learn more and contribute to ocean science. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. We're also working to build stronger boats. We want to make sure they're filled with foam, make sure they're watertight, make sure they can survive the really crazy ocean conditions. And mini boats are uncrewed and they travel mainly by the wind, but a little bit of currents. And that's part of the learning fun, is using that information to make predictions. And having the students lead these experiences is one of the most rewarding things. And so with today, I'm going to go through the team workbooks and the resources available to you to help encourage your students to make these decisions, do all of the work. You just get to see it happen. It's hard to not get involved, but it's also really great to see the students guide those experiences. So these are the few key components of how the program works. I'm going to touch upon each of them a little bit. So it starts with building, we launch, we learn all along the way, we track, hopefully we recover, we connect, and hopefully repair and relaunch, and it keeps it all going over and over again. So it starts with this kit, and I'm going to walk you through the one I have in the other room a little bit later, but the goal is to provide everything to you so you don't have to go shopping, you don't have extra work in order to be ready to do the program. So the main components are the sail, the mast, the keel, the hull and deck are already attached, all of the supplies, and then you are doing the rest to assemble your mini boat. A little bit about behind the scenes and the in between the hull and deck, because it will come attached so you can't really see inside. This is what the boats look like when they're being made from the molds. You have the deck on the left and the hull on the right. And there is our production team up in Maine, Puffin Boat Company. There's a look inside on the right of the hull, how we're filling some of those bulkheads with spray foam. If water gets in, it won't fill that space and sink the boat. So these are really important things. And making a strong boat is really important. So we've got a great team up there in Maine that makes our boats for us. And it has been requested many times to see more about that process. So this summer, I had them actually make some really detailed videos about that production. I still have to stitch it together, but that is one of my goals this school year, is to make that as a resource to you all to share with your students the work that goes into building boats. I did ask for a quick summary of how the boats are made. And this is what we have.
Who are you? Where are we?
My name's Eric Moran. We are at Puffin Boat Company in Hamden, Maine. This is the mini boat that we build for, what is it? Passages?
Educational passages.
Educational passages.
Still needs some editing, but
So
I just
every
wanted to
boat
show you a
is
little behind the
100%
scenes.
Traditional hand-laid fiberglass. The hulls are a matte woven mat. The tops are a double mat with a woven stitched into the top plate. So basically this area here is 3 layers, the rest of it's 2. The skeg, which you have to grab.
So he calls it the skeg, it's the
also
keel.
a 2-piece mold made out of 2 layers of 1.5 ounce mat. And then what we do with them, after we pop these out, we hot glue them together, and we go around the whole entire outside edge with another 2 layers of material to bond everything back together all the way around. Then what the kids will do is they'll sand this all up, fill that chock full of sand and resin to give it some weight, and then they attach it in the bottom of the boat.
All right, that's all I'm going to show you because there's more to come. I have like the whole video of the whole production process. So I'm really excited to be able to get that together for you all to look at closer and put it into your classrooms. So we've got all the kits. What do you do then? We have a manual that's a chronological, here's how you build your boat, here's how you prepare for launch. But we also have this captain's workbook and set of team workbooks. And so this is what we try to encourage with programs, to divide up the work to teams where students hopefully get to choose what team they're in based on the tasks that that team will have. Maybe even switch it up where everybody gets a part in each team. We have the launch team that's going to coordinate the launch. Where is it going to go? When is it going to go? And how is it going to go out to sea? We have the cargo team, and their job is to fill the cargo hold with messages from the school and the community. Kind of what is our message to the world? The main sensor pack and transmitter will also be inside, as well as the finder's instructions. So it's a really important job. The deck team is going to decorate the deck, make sure it's really well labeled, which is also important to somebody that might pick it up at sea and say, what is this thing? And if it's kind of really shows that it's an educational project, there's better chances of it being picked up and people contacting us. The hull and keel team, I would say, is the messiest, is the most hands-on. The hull and keel team are not only ballasting the keel, as Eric said, filling the keel with a sand and resin mixture, which is to add weight, which is how the mini boat is designed to work. So having that weight in the back with the keel is why it can go across ocean basins on its own. So they're ballasting the keel, installing it, and then they're painting the whole hull with anti-fouling bottom paint. And that's important because I had mentioned how barnacles grew on the square mile. They ended up growing because we had put the temperature sensor on the keel, but forgot to reapply the anti-fouling bottom paint. So organism kept growing on it and kind of growing a colony of barnacles, and that will really weigh down the boat. So we put on this anti-fouling bottom paint to try to prohibit that growth from happening. So that's hull and keel team, definitely the messiest. We have the sail team. Their job is to decorate this blank sail. There's 2 sides. There's some pretty fantastic sail designs over the years, and students really get into it. Again, another message to the world opportunity. You can start with templates and have all different kinds of students participate in helping that design process, and then come together to put them all together and then decorate your sail. And the sail is most important in terms of the design, as these mini boats are wind driven. We have a media team, and the job for the media team is to document the whole process, report back to EP, share that story out. Every boat, once the boat is named, gets its own web page. And so it's educationalpassages.org/boats/ whatever your boat's name is. And so having the message come from the students, we put that right up on those pages and share that out. We also have a new blue journal, which the media team's job is to coordinate the signing of it. It's kind of that idea of a message in a bottle, but more in a journal format, where along the way as you're building, invite people to put a message inside the boat project. And it's really exciting for the finders to read that and go through that and see all the people that have been connected. And finally, the tech team. The tech team's job is to install the sensor pack, which we'll go into more detail in a bit. So with these teams and the workbooks that are provided in the kit, the suggested layout is week 1 will be all crew, kind of overview, introductions, assigning teams, and then weeks 2 through 7 are the building, and those workbooks will help guide the students for those weeks. But you'll see on the left how it's kind of quotations week 1, because another layout can be spending all of September as week 1, introducing week 2 at the end of September, having a whole week for week 3 could be all of October. And that kind of layout, which we'll look at more when we go through the captain's workbook, because it's a little hidden here, gets you to launch your boat during the school year. So there's enough time for tracking and predicting and hopefully landing, recovering, all of that. This is an upgraded diagram from last year, just kind of all the terminology that we'll be referring to in the resources. We have an activity, a set of glossary like definitions in the all crew workbook. So as these terms come up in their workbooks, we ask them to define those things and keep track of that. So there's also a pre and post assessment. So at least they're learning some of these terminology, mini boat and nautical parts. Again, lots of time to build, but when we're just overviewing some of the components, launching your boat can be done by a variety of different organizations. The top left is the RV Endeavor from the University of Rhode Island. I believe the bottom left is a cargo ship. They have to lower theirs down using the pad eyes on the top and some line so that it can get it down to the water. But then also these Zodiacs and recreational boats, as long as they can go out far. And the picture that's in the middle is right off the Canary Islands. So the currents and winds around the Canary Islands don't quite stay close to land, so the boats end up coming westward across the Atlantic. So it's okay for them to launch close to land, whereas if we launched closer to the Oregon coast even, or to Maine, sometimes the wind tend to blow them back really quickly. So the launch team is really important, can do a lot of research in looking at the best way to get your mini boat out to sea. We've had 211 mini boats built and launched, and that is adding 2 just yesterday afternoon. We had to launch off the MV Bermuda Islander right into the Gulf Stream, which is really exciting. And a lot of them have been relaunched. So the number 356 is the amount of voyages that those 211 mini boats have had in total. We've had a 75% landing rate, and that continues to improve as we use solar panel and GPS transmitters that we can say, when you're close to land, start reporting a lot more frequently. And that has allowed us to recover a lot more mini boats than we used to, when the batteries would just run out and we wouldn't be able to, we would have reports every 12 hours or 24 hours, and that's not enough time when they're approaching rocky areas. And we've connected at least 34 countries. So again, lots of stories to share, but that's not what today is about. So I want to do an activity and get back to some working with you guys and talking with you guys. So how do you track a mini boat? Let's make sure everyone knows how to do this. So if you are on your computer or have access to a computer and can visit the Educational Passages website, miniboats.org is another quick link to help get there. Find either the at sea map or the all mini boats page from the menu and pick a boat, any boat that you like. Think about, why did you pick that boat? Do you need information to find one near you? Do you want to see one that has been launched in an area that you're looking at? And then explore, is the boat currently at sea? Where was it launched from? Where did it go? Who built it? And with this activity, I was hoping you could consider maybe picking a buddy boat before starting your project. This can be a great way to get your students engaged and learning about, what are we doing here? And so that can be either a boat that's already gone out to sea and landed, or one that is currently active. So I might put Kelsey on the spot because we have a really great example with Stormy Normie. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if you all have logged in yet and found a map or found a boat yet to track. Has anybody picked one yet that they are starting to explore? Becky, Vitamin C, it's off the coast of Virginia. Vitamin C was one of the ones that was launched just yesterday afternoon. Yakina Never Sink, Kama's boat. Oh, hi, Teresa. It's your boat. Oh, yeah. All right. What do we got? We got 907 Seas. Yes, Linda and 907 Seas. 907 Seas is one of our Alaska mini boats that got launched really close to shore and ended up landing on Kodiak Island on like the southwestern side, which is just really hard to get to. Cam is looking at Warrior. Warrior is a mini boat from the USS Constitution Museum, and that's actually, I believe, its second voyage, which is really cool. So what do people notice? How long have these been at sea? Who launched them? What else do you want to know? This is also my test of how can we improve our web pages too. So if anybody has feedback, comments.
I have a quick question. What are they doing with the Lancer boat? Have they said?
So buddy boat, sometimes serendipitously you get to have a buddy boat opportunity like Kelsey, where they were going to build their own. And then you had Lancer, which was launched off the Northeast shelf, but ended up going westward on the continental shelf, which is really strange for mini boats, and landed down in the Outer Banks. And then Stormy Normie was coming up from the south of that, ended up coming northwest and also landed in the exact same spot 9 days later. So I think Lancer landed first and it went to the Water's Edge School. They've already opened it up. They did a video, they made a story map, all of these things for getting their students engaged and excited. So hopefully you and Sheridan can have a conversation about ways to work together on that. I'll talk more about Lancer's voyage a little bit later.
So once it's opened, it cannot be relaunched. Is that?
Well, so there's a whole process for repairing and relaunching, right? So there's some assessment to do as well as resealing, but the idea is to definitely keep it going as long as we can. So that's part of the kind of next steps. All right, chat.
Ignore
Having
my
trouble
note, I
finding
guess.
Warrior on Pat Tool.
I found it. Sorry.
Okay, great. Can you tell us anything you notice about Warrior and where it is?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if there's a gyre here because it keeps doing spirals. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, Warrior's not far from Crimson Tide, which is one of Lisa's first mini boats that we relaunched. And I think there's 3 boats kind of in that Atlantic gyre. So we have the Gulf Stream here in the Atlantic that helps boats go to Europe. Sometimes they come back around, and then sometimes they end up in the middle. And usually it's because the sail comes off. So when boats are found in the Azores, none of them have had their sails fully intact that I have seen yet. So it's a really interesting learning experience. 14 hours at sea for vitamin C. Yes. So another cool thing, if you look at the PAT tool, and maybe we can do that together, is vitamin C and Lightning McMahon were launched within 10 minutes of each other. So thinking about, are they going to go the same place? Why not? Is another great learning opportunity. And they launched those right in the Gulf Stream, which is a really awesome spot. Crimson Tide, been sailing for almost a decade. Hey, Lisa, want to tell us why?
Oh, for a decade? Oh,
Well, how
so
many voyages has that
yeah,
been?
it's been a lot. Crimson Tide was our first boat 11 years ago. And
2012, yeah.
yeah, 2012. And so it landed in the island of Guernsey, then was relaunched. It landed in France and spent tons of time in France at a couple schools there, then came across to the US and came back to us right when my 6th graders were graduating high school. So it came back 2 weeks shy of the fact that when they were graduating high school. So then we had it on display in our school for years and years and years, and then finally decided, hey, we're gonna fix it up, get a new cargo hold in it, and relaunch it. So it's been quite a journey.
Awesome. Any other questions from any of the boats? What happened to Tide Strider? Olive, do you want to address that? What your thoughts are on Tide Strider?
Hi, yeah. So I've been tracking Tide Strider is one of our boats. It was launched from Jewel School this year, and it was launched not far off the coast of Japan by NYK, which is a collaborator of ours. So it looked like sometime around the end of September, the GPS stopped reporting. And, since there are few weather buoys in that area in the middle, it's that far off coast, it's hard to know exactly why the GPS stopped reporting. My hunches are that either it has possibly turned upside down and the GPS wasn't getting sun, or there was water intrusion into the cargo hold area. But it is a mystery when there is no information.
Yes, yep. And so in the background, the only information I have is looking at the GPS transmitter and how the battery level has been going down. And there's been a couple instances where it stopped reporting for a month, and I was able to say, I basically sent a message and say, report now, and it popped back online. But it hasn't been able to continue to charge. And so, yeah, the messages are definitely becoming more infrequent in between.
Never mind, no. Elon. Oh, there's a rocket. Oh, look, a rocket's it's.
Yeah, so, and most of the time it's a mystery until the boats show up, right? We can only kind of make predictions and estimates. Grizzly bear looks pretty cool too. Sure does. Cool. Anybody thinking about picking a buddy boat to start tracking? I'm going to jump my agenda and show something really cool. So one of the newest additions this year is a new tracking map. And I'm super excited about this. Some of you already know about it, but we had provided a wall map, but we only had one made of the Atlantic. I didn't have time to make one of the Pacific. And then I also was kind of like, well, why are we having one for the Atlantic and one for the Pacific? And what about the rest of the ocean? So this year, everyone is getting the wall map that has, slow down, both ocean basins kind of centered in the middle so that we could really track all of the mini boats and do all of the currents. Super excited about that. I can also provide a link to this so you can print more out. You could also print smaller ones, and those are already in the kind of workbooks for tracking for students to track the kind of, letter size maps. So you could hang this up as one of your first activities, pick a mini boat, explore the currents, explore the continents, talk with your students where you are and get that kind of sense of place and connection to the world, and start tracking them. There's 1 degree and 10-degree grids on the map. So, to help you do the long activities. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Oh, thanks. Becky's finding errors. Great. That's what this is for. That's great. All right. Want to go to show you a few things about the websites. So as I said, once your boats are named, which is a whole activity in itself, by the way, great way to engage the whole community in kind of what do we want to name this and voting and everything. So if you don't have a boat in mind, there is a page called just Meet the Mini Boat Fleet, and you can find that under the Mini Boats, All Mini Boats tab. And that's just an alphabetical list of all of the mini boats that have been built. So the 211 to date. So that's one way to explore and look. We also, if you already know your individual one, so Lightning McMahon, there's that link, right? /Lightning McMahon. This is the one that was launched just yesterday and is always just it's already taking off. So Lightning McMahon has a main GPS transmitter, which every boat has, and it also has that sensor pack. So I'm just going to show you where do you access the sensor data. And the reason we don't include it up at the map at the top is because it needs to be quality controlled and checked. There's a lot of data points, as you can see, some invalid GPS locations here. This is showing just the sensor track. And I know it's a little confusing because what they did is they ended up going to Bermuda and back on the Islander, but didn't launch it because of weather. So there's a lot of back and forth here. But if you zoom in, you can see when it was launched because it starts taking that more frequent report and kind of really veering off. So when you click on the red, which is the most recent report, there is all the sensor data that you can see. So another GPS location, the calculated speed, you've got heading and pitch, which is telling us angle off vertical. So how are the boats moving? We have air temperature, water temperature, battery level. And this boat also has a camera on deck. So we took pictures of those. This is this morning. Doesn't look very rough out there in the Gulf Stream. So that is the main boat page in terms of how to access information. And then, yeah, so there's the mini boats at sea, which has the most active boats. For those that have had more than one voyage, they all show on the at sea. It's something we need to edit in the back end, but you can see here's the Yakina Neversink, which is cruising right along south off the west coast there. And then I took Crimson Current off because it landed up here in Norway, so that's why you don't see it. So the at-sea map is a great place to start. And then all of the ones that are at sea in the last 30 days of tracks are also shown at the path analysis tool. So this is another great resource for folks to look closer at how to make a prediction. Where is this boat going to go? What more information do we need to make a better prediction? So with the last 30 days of tracks, you can see what's active. There's Crimson Current, right? So it came all the way from over here, but you only see the last 30 days. But with the PAT tool is you can click on different forecast layers. So I don't know if it's going to load because of my bandwidth being used on my computer, but winds will show up as vectors to show you which way the winds are forecasted to move. We've got waves, currents, and I like the sea surface temperature because it's just a real pretty coloration of sea surface temperature changes throughout the world. So, of course, this is not going to load because it's being recorded and live. But when you click on the most recent report, it shows you the most recent, and then it's estimating the speed, calculating it, and then it's also showing you what that model data is for that exact point. So you can really see, oh, the winds are only 4.6 knots, currents 1.3. So not a storm out there yet, until Hurricane Milton comes on the other side, and then we'll probably see that all pick up pretty fast. Any questions on tracking mini boats or those resources?
I have one quick question. The pictures, does that go to you and then you disperse them to us, or is that something that we can look at as they're taken?
The pictures from unfortunately, it's a very manual process where I actually have to request the image and then download it and then either post it online or share it with you. There's not quite an easier automated way to do it. But one thing I'd like to do is work more with the tech teams to say, when do you want your pictures taken? Do you want a sunrise picture? Do you want a sunset picture? Do you want, when there's a storm, right? Getting that kind of feedback will be important too and helpful. All right. Trying to get back to sharing screen, sorry. All right. I'm going to jump forward so I can show you a little bit more about the kit that's included. And there was those different examples of how to track mini boats. We had the path analysis tool. It's a little bit more on the sensor pack, which I've kind of mentioned bits on and off. This really helps us to get another layer of information in terms of what happens. So something with only having like the main GPS, if the battery is kind of going down and it's reporting infrequently, can you look at the sensor data and see if the orientation changed? Did the boat actually flip over? And that's something we were actually able to do with Lancer, is we noticed there was a huge pitch event. We took a picture and then it turns out the sail had come off and was dragging on the side. So there's a lot more information we can glean from these sensor packs. The data is also really important to help researchers and everybody learn more about our changing ocean. And as we go, we want to add more sensors so that we're collecting as much data as we can for the scientists. So I was actually down in Virginia for a meeting with some researchers that they have a set of ocean observing buoys out off the coast of the Oregon Inlet. And these buoys used to actually be up in the Northeast here. That crew, when they took the buoys out, launched a mini boat for us. And now that buoy array is down here in Oregon Inlet where mini boats often travel. So really trying to make those connections and then inviting scientists to come and join us in understanding what data is being collected and be helpful for each other. And here's a little graph of all of those 350 something tracks to date. Educational alignments, I'm going to go through that with the captain's workbook. But yeah, this is just another story of Lancer, which started in 2016 and has since connected 5 countries and returned back to Connecticut. It was just relaunched, actually from near the same spot where it was first launched in 2016, and it went backwards down to Kelsey in the Outer Banks. So that was our first kind of circumnavigation of the Atlantic. And the goal is to connect. So when the boats land, we really work hard to get them brought to a nearby school, facilitate a Zoom connection, and again, keep it all going around and around and around again. So a few updates on the 2024 program. So there's a lot of a lot of thought I give in terms of why are we sending plastic boats out to sea, and so wanting to make them not just strong, but having the most instrumentation on them so that we can recover them and relaunch them and all of that. But also having inviting students into that conversation ahead of time, and talking about stewardship and awareness of why are we sending this out? What are the risks to maybe not seeing it again? So we've incorporated a stewardship acknowledgement. It's not an agreement. That's up to you if you wanted to take it a step further. But that's something that's incorporated into the workbooks, is kind of having those conversations with your students and maybe considering taking action and organizing a beach cleanup or a campaign to reduce plastic use, and use those things that you're learning throughout your community. We also have an upgraded crew corner. And so I'm just going to use this to show you what is included, and basically everything to set you up like this is included in the kit. So we showed you the all crew map. You've got the boat assembled, but all those parts to build that boat are included. And then all of the yellow titles are all different resources that are available in the workbooks, but also online for you to easier print out and access them. All right, I'm going to take a few minutes and bring you to the other room for a little show and tell. So some of you already have your kits. Some of you do not. You're also seeing a little insight into Miniboat prep room. So everything comes in a giant 6-foot-long box. Very giant, very heavy, but the idea is to send everything to you and ready to go. So you'll have the main boat parts. This is the hull and deck that's attached. You'll have a hatch, cargo hatch cover that has a little window for the GPS transmitter. It's painted white to reduce condensation inside once it's sealed. The keel is in the other room. The mast is in the other room. But this is the sail. There's the map, a better picture of the map than me rolling it out earlier. And then all of this stuff. So I'm going to walk through that real quick. All right. So these are all the resources. Everyone gets a printed copy so that you don't have to do printing. There is one thing that we do suggest gets printed out for each student, and that is a crew member logbook, which is included in the all crew binder. So essentially it's like a booklet. So once you print it, staple it together, and this is a way to have everybody kind of walk through and collect information and learn about the program during that all crew session in the first couple weeks. And then from there, everyone is logging their information and going through the all crew workbook together, right? So students starting with vocabulary, what do they know? What do they not know? That glossary matches up with all of these terms. Has students exploring, what do we want to learn? Going through the map, setting that up, setting a crew corner. What are the steps to building the mini boat? And then assigning your teams. There's also the like a logbook for each the media team to be logging things. If you want to just take pictures of this when it's completed and send it to us, that's a great way for us to kind of stay apprised of what's happening. And then week 8, once the boat's ready to go and you're ready to launch, there's a whole nother set of tasks and things to do. There's also a copy of that main manual in the back so that they can refer to it. Quick, easy instruction. These are the team workbooks. You don't have to make copies of them. The idea is to just have one for each team that they're grabbing every time it's mini boat time. They're grabbing their team workbooks. They're going to their stations and working together with the guided information inside. You as the captain can kind of go through your captain's workbook and decide if the tasks that are outlined for that week are too much, too little, what have you. And great thing to do is just to kind of write up on the board the different tasks that are happening. Or here is that work chart that we upgraded this year. This is another big revision. So in your captain's work chart is this beautiful thing That was the work chart that I kind of walked through with all the teams, and then you have the weeks. It is 3 pages long. And then the idea is for weeks 9+, make new teams, right? Your boat's out at sea. What are the new tasks you want to do with each other? But this captain's workbook really walks you through. This is the place to start, right? It walks you through some considerations, all the steps, the tasks that are connected to the different work teams. We have our next generation science standards alignment, ocean literacy principles, and then all of the considerations. So establishing your timeline, safety, evaluation, how to assign teams, how to address diverse learning needs, skills, and build crew culture. There's also a new offering independent work opportunities to have those kind of in the crew corner for different individuals that just might want some separate space, or when teams are kind of done their tasks for a week, having some extra things for them to do is a good idea. Determine your space. Invite your community to join you. We've had, construction companies want to get involved in helping students drill the sensor in their boats. Or if they're a boat captain or what have you, trying to find some community members to come in and participate. There's the stewardship goal piece. And then I also made a captain's log for you to take notes every time you have your mini boat sessions. So again, if it's easier for you to just take pictures of that and send it to us instead of me saying, what you doing this week? How are things going? I'll work with you to find the best way to stay in touch and to facilitate that process with each other. So then there's the kind of getting started. We suggest that mapping activity and providing an overview. So there's a slide deck in the shared drive, and you can customize that however you want, but I'll also make today's slideshow available if you wanted to use some of those slides to introduce the program to your students. There's also a couple other activities to think about, which is the Recycle Regatta, which is usually in the springtime, and also the NSF LTE, our data jam that has different age levels for helping students explore not just mini boat tracks, but some other things happening that scientists do. There's some curated resources, some links to different videos and articles and podcasts. We also have our own podcast to explore different stories and topics. And then this is a follow along. So we have the all crew workbook in the binder. And as students are working through that, all your answers are here and kind of describing to you, students are going to be asked certain components, be prepared for this. Or here's this set of glossary terms that are going to be introduced that week. So we've tried to link that up. Here's the diagram, the blank and the answer. And try to make it easy for you to be able to walk through those things with your students. We have the supply box, which it's going to look a lot more organized than that when you get it. I'm still in kit prep mode to get you guys all your resources, but we have a bunch of sand, a couple quarts of resin. There's for that messy hull and keel team to ballast their keel. One of the things that's not included is safety gear enough for all your students, because we just don't know how many students are going to participate in the program. So that's one thing to keep in mind in terms of your budget and prep needs for that. We have paint pens. This year, I also added a sample of the sail material and of the boat making process. So these are some tangible pieces. You can see how thick the boat is, what it looks like on the back end. The sail also has some white so that you can test some of the paints if you want to. Here is the blue journal, kind of thing to keep track of messages. A waterproof bag for said journal and messages, just in case. And then everything else in here, buckets and stir sticks and rulers, glue to install the keel, the bottom paint, sealing, alcohol wipes, because yes, things get messy, tape, paintbrushes, you name it. If there's anything you end up needing, let me know, and I'm happy to guide you in that direction. And then for those of you that have the sensor pack, there's a lot less to it. There's a toolkit, which the box is in the other room. This is what the main sensor box looks like. It's closed. So all the components are stacked inside, and the sensors are going to go through the holes and be connected inside. So here's what the camera looks like. And then we have the temperature sensors and the solar panel to charge that sensor pack. So all of those get installed through the cargo hatch and inside. And here's what the main GPS transmitter looks like. So, questions on what's included? All right, so try to go back to my list. Lost the background on my screen.
Hey, Cassie.
Yeah.
Is it possible, just out of curiosity, to attach the camera to the bottom of the boat? Our boat is in awful warm water, and I'm just thinking anytime there's anything floating in the ocean, critters tend to congregate beneath, and that would be kind of a cool option.
These ones are not designed for submersion. I think they possibly could, but we would want to talk to Wayne about how to adapt it. The other problem is there's nowhere for the other, so there's like, it's pinched to the hatch, right? So there's a nut on the other side, and we wouldn't be able to do that underneath the boat. But don't stop thinking, because those are the ideas that help us add things to the sensor packs. All right. Well, I actually kind of just went through the captain's workbook a little bit, but that first page and walks you through what you're going to get, right? So the captain's workbook, which is this document, in that binder is also a copy of the Miniboat manual. We've got the captain's glossary, which is just the answer of the terms. If you have a sensor pack, it's got a whole nother manual extension for that. The crew binder, we just went through the team workbooks, and then here is the picture of all the supplies that you're getting. So I also want to show you the online resources before. Why is it paused? Technical difficulties. There we go. So all of the paper copies of things are also going to be included in the shared drive. So this is something I want to show you. Everyone here is connected on a Google group, and that's how I sent out today's message. Was I just said to Miniboats 2024 at educationalpassage.org, and the message was sent to everybody within that group. So we're going to continue to send out updates that way, and everybody in that group is shared this drive. I can't send a link to that drive. The best way to find it is to go to drive.google.com. And then under shared drives, you'll see Miniboat Classroom 2024-25. And this will have copies of all of the documents. If you need a version that is editable, that's, you don't want the PDF, don't make a copy within this. Just let me know what else you need, because I have the those document versions. If you want to edit them, it gets really clunky if you try to download that PDF. Here's that list of captains, kind of adding emails to it, and all of the resources you need in here. I have not shared this drive with everybody yet, because I want to do a few little double checks before I do so, which hopefully will be later this week. But when I do, I will send this document as the start here, and it will walk you through explaining more of the Google group, how to access that shared drive, and then it will also have a list of all of the resources that are in that shared drive for you. So that is how we are going to stay connected. And I would like to use the next 10 minutes to talk about what else do you want to see and what else would be useful. Do you want to meet more often as kind of this group and have additional conversations, support? What do you guys want next? Anybody have any other questions that they came into with that have not been answered yet?
Hey, Cassie, Lisa here.
Yeah.
Hey, I was, again, just, having done it for many years, one thing that I haven't done, is to be able to connect classrooms with other schools that are building a mini boat. And, my kids, I teach 6th grade, and my kids love when they have an opportunity to connect with others. And we've been fortunate in that some of our boats have landed in obviously other countries, but if anyone on this group would like to somehow try to connect classrooms while we're both working on mini boats before we actually do the launch, I'd be open to that. So just want to toss it out there that if you want to try to connect classrooms ahead of time.
That's a great point, Lisa. I did that with Hampshire Regional High School. There was no connection between the two, but they wanted to talk to someone from the other side of the ocean. So we actually have a lot of classrooms that might not even be building a boat anymore that would love to get re-engaged with that. So if folks are interested and you want to share kind of what age group, what location, kind of what you're looking for, I'd love to try to do some pairing up. Or even if any of you all want to meet with each other.
Oh,
I'd
that's what
like
I
to see
meant.
that
That's
too.
what I meant. I
Yeah.
probably didn't make it sound like that, but like if there's any of you that would like to connect with my 6th graders while you're
Gotcha.
starting to build the boat, we're just getting started. We just did a naming contest today, and so we're going to be doing mini boats for the next, 2.5 months. So if anybody wants to try to Zoom or connect like during the process, I'd be game for that with my kids.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. Well, I guess both opportunities are there.
Everything
then. Somebody else have a comment? Any other questions? We aren't ready yet, but when we are, it'd be fun to connect classes. Awesome. Olive has 5th and 6th graders in Oregon and Washington. That would be cool because it's connecting Atlantic and Pacific basins. Very cool. Is there anything missing from folks that I haven't gone over that they would like to see? You can also email me separately. That's totally fine. This is just the beginning. That's why we call it the kickoff. I didn't get through everything I wanted to, but there's time. Olive.
Hi, so something I'd like to do, and we can do this online too, is test our GPSs. I've been charging them, so I'd like to see if they work.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Send me an email when a good time will be to do that.
Yep, anytime. I'll be around all today if you are available.
All right. Was this session useful? Are people feeling a little bit more confident than when we started? I had a whole poll that I was going to do before and after, and yeah, didn't do it. But I'm glad we had more time to share stories. Great. So a few wrap up notes. I found my back screen again. So not the exit poll, but being on the lookout for opportunities. So using this Google group and to share messages between each other. I will do my best to continue sharing updates of things that are happening. We also have the podcast. I used to do some frequent traffic reports, but I don't have the time to do traffic reports, but I'd like to do, every month or two, fuller episodes. So if there's any group that wants to be kind of interviewed or participate in a podcast episode, we just did one with the Hampshire Regional High School as our most recent one. Just kind of got on a Zoom and had a conversation about the work that they did over the last school year. And it was really great to then share that out. So we also have our social media accounts with Facebook and Instagram, trying to share out everything that happens, but there's a lot of activity this year. And I mentioned the data jam and recycle regatta. And yeah, I'd really like to know what are the things you would like to see in terms of maybe more consistent gatherings like this over Zoom for those that are available, kind of join, pop on, chat about their projects, see what's new. If that's something that's useful, I'd be happy to host that. And officially welcome to the fleet. And welcome aboard to everybody. I'm super excited. I'm here to help every step of the way. So call, text, email, any of the above, reach out, use me, hopefully use each other. There's nothing greater than us coming together and helping. So any other last minute questions in 3 minutes? Who's like jumping out of their skin ready to build their mini boat? Hopefully everybody. Lisa's already unboxed. They're ready to go. Kelsey, you unboxed too, I believe. Yeah.
Did we send you the article and the pictures and everything? Okay.
Yes. It's awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I will let you go. Thanks again for your time and your passion and energy, and looking forward to seeing where our mini boats go.
Thanks,
everyone.
Cassie.
Thank you.